Please join me in welcoming the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences. Leading the College of Arts and Sciences is Economics Associate Professor Emily Beam. Let's give a hearty welcome to our class of 2024 graduates. Graduates, family, and friends, please join me in welcoming Dean William Falls and the platform party of the College of Arts and Sciences.
upon our esteemed colleague, Professor Alec Ewald, to open these proceedings. Alec, give us order!
Order! Order! These proceedings are commenced!
You may all be seated. Please join me in welcoming the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, William Falls.
Thank you, Professor McGowan. Congratulations to the class of 2024. It's my honor and privilege to stand before you on this special day as we celebrate your graduation from the College of Arts and Sciences. First, I would like to express my gratitude to the people who make this event possible. I want to thank our phenomenal Dean's Office staff who worked tirelessly with our students throughout the year and ramped up to an exhaustive pace in the weeks leading up to this day. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation to the chairs and directors of our 30-plus academic departments, schools, and programs, and our commencement marshals. I also want to thank the members of the University Brass Ensemble who provided the music for our processional, and all those who worked diligently to get the campus ready for this grand celebration. Lastly, I would like to give a special thanks to Celeste Piet, who orchestrated this wonderful event, and the extraordinary student services team who helped produce today's ceremony. Please join me in thanking this incredible team. We also have many faculty members here today. They are the lifeblood of this college and university. These extraordinary teachers and scholars share their passion for learning every day with their students. Please join me in thanking our faculty for making UVM a special place for learning and scholarship. To our graduates, this celebration is for you. It is a recognition of your dedication, hard work, and resilience. Let me underscore resilience. The start of your career at UVM was under pandemic conditions that altered the way you learned, lived, and socialized. Despite these challenges, you persevered and you succeeded. As you transition to UVM alumni and enter the next phase of your life, remember this experience. You will face other challenges, and when you do, draw on the success and the confidence in your resilience. Today, you have earned a liberal arts degree. This degree is rich in exploration of the arts, sciences, and humanities. In addition to the wonderful depth of knowledge you've acquired in your major, over your time here, you have developed and honed essential skills such as intercultural fluency, collaboration, leadership, critical thinking, written and oral communication, and information literacy. These are the skills that make you intellectually resilient, support a rich and satisfying life, allow you to be an engaged and involved citizen, and that have prepared you for whatever career opportunities come your way, including careers not yet imagined. In addition to recognizing and appreciating these skills as you leave UVM and enter the next phase of your life, I urge you to remember the importance of service. Service is not just a noble gesture, it is a calling, it is a responsibility, and a privilege. It is found in everyday acts of kindness, compassion, and empathy. Service defines our humanity and embodies our deepest values and the essence of what it means to be part of something greater than ourselves. Whether it is through volunteer work, community engagement, lending a helping hand to a neighbor in need, listening with empathy to someone's story, going the extra mile at work, or advocating for those voices who have been silenced, service is about recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every individual and striving to create a more just, equitable, and compassionate society for all. As you embark on this next phase, I challenge you to embrace the spirit of service in everything that you do. Seek out opportunities to give back to your communities, uplift those in need, and advocate for causes that resonate with your values. Before closing my brief remarks, I'd like to introduce you to a colleague who's had dedicated 9 years in service to this college. Working behind the scenes in the dean's office, she has had an enormous impact on the lives and careers of literally thousands of UVM students. Abby McGowan, professor of history, has served as an associate dean in the college since 2015. She has had numerous responsibilities over those 9 years, most recently overseeing curricular changes and managing college courses and enrollment. Abby has worked tirelessly to support our faculty, staff, and students. While her creativity, knowledge, and problem-solving abilities are superior, her greatest superpower is her empathy. There is no one who has encountered Abby who did not feel heard, understood, and supported. There is no problem, issue, or crisis that Abby did not quickly resolve to the benefit of all involved. Abby has an infectious laugh, a quick wit, and a can-do, selfless attitude. As Abby is leaving the dean's office to return to research and teaching full-time, I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate her incredible service. Abby, if you could come forward. Abby, in recognition of your tremendous service, the college is creating the Abby McGowan Distinguished Service Award, which will be given annually to the student who has shown exemplary service to our university community. I hope that this award, in recognition and thanksgiving for your service, will encourage others to follow your example. Thank you, Abby. So, to the class of 2024, I offer my congratulations, my admiration, and my heartfelt thanks for all you have done and will continue to do. You have made us proud, and we cannot wait to see what the future holds for you. Congratulations and best wishes on your next adventure.
Each year, we take a moment to recognize our faculty members who are granted emeriti status. This year, we recognize 6 amazing professors. Professor Eleanor M. Miller, 19 years of service. Professor Timothy Stickle, 21 years of service. Our own beloved Catherine Fox, who worked in the dean's office, 30 years of service. Our beloved Professor William Mears, 36 years of service. Our beloved Professor Lori Stevens, 36 years of service. And last but never least, our beloved Professor Jan Lynn Feldman with 42 years of service. Thank you. To these amazing faculty, thank you. Thank you for your dedication to your students, to your faculty colleagues, and to the University of Vermont for so many years, and for your passionate commitment to study and teaching. We wish you many, many happy, healthy years ahead. Now, we would like to announce a student award. This is the Hannah Howard Prize. At Friday's College of Arts and Sciences Awards and Honors Ceremony, the Hannah Howard Prize was given to an undergraduate student who has achieved the highest grade point average in the college while enrolled on a full-time basis. Will Sarah, Ariel, Harim, Kim please stand so we can acknowledge you? Congratulations, Sarah. After our thanks to so many, we want to take a moment to thank you, all of our students, for all that you have done for our college. During your time at UVM, you've engaged, challenged, and often pushed us, sometimes in ways that were difficult, but in ways that have been inspiring. You crucially also knit us together. You make us the college we are. When you cross the stage soon to shake the dean's hand, and I promise we're getting there, you will walk as representatives of different majors. You are more fundamentally, however, representatives of the college as a whole. All of you have taken courses across the curriculum to fulfill requirements. But most of you have also more deeply embraced the liberal arts ideal, the ideal of exploring ideas from different perspectives, diverse disciplines, in order to understand more fully the complexities of the world we live in. For the most ambitious, that has meant complicated double majors. Environmental studies paired with French, philosophy paired with computer science, religion paired with geography, computer science paired with Japanese, theater and anthropology, psychological science and economics, health and society, and Chinese. More commonly, for the mortals among us, this has meant combining majors and minors from different parts of the college and beyond, diving deep into the subject of your major, then exploring other things and other parts of your life through your minor. Thank you. Thank you for that engagement across fields and departments and programs, and for that passion that you have brought to your liberal arts journey here. By exploring the breadth of what we have to offer, you have brought us together as a college. You have been able to demonstrate what it means to approach questions from different vantage points, skills you will have many, many opportunities to use from this day forward. So we are together what we are because of you. So thank you. Okay, we're now at the moment you've been waiting for, the start of the diploma presentation. Just a few ground rules before we get started. Students, out of respect for your fellow graduates, please follow the directions of the faculty marshals and return to your seats after receiving your diploma. You may not be returning to the exact same seat you left from, so if you have anything with you, carry it with you for the procession. The undergraduate degrees will be presented by Dean William Falls. Names will be read by Associate Professor of Linguistics, Mabe Eberhardt, and Associate Professor of Economics, Donna Ramirez Harrington. After today, remaining diplomas can be picked up in the office of the registrar's front counter, located right behind me on the 3rd floor of Waterman, Monday, May 20th, 12 to 4:30, Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. After that, we will mail them home. Okay. Let's get started. May I ask the Department of Anthropology be to be represented by the chair, Professor Luis Vivanco.
Erin Elizabeth Acosta. Leola Francisca Amblo. Eden Lee Ambrovich. I need your card. Thank you. Catherine Blassingame. Quinn Canavan. Giles Cheney. Jacqueline Justine Coburn. Annabelle Collins. Avinash Rajiv Desai. Holiday D. Dinsmore Patch. Benjamin Ferran. Ava Jean Fusco. Eden John Pearson Oppenheimer Gostelow. Sarah Grossman. Rebecca Shansha Harder. Caroline Hess. Jack Stanley Casson. Madeline Ariel Leach. Caleb Lister. Sophia Lukowski. Lillian Matthews. Alyssa Naomi Nielsen. William Tate Norwood. Brooke O'Leary. Ana Maria Oteri. Gideon Michael Laffey Parker. Malika Phillip. Oh. It's okay. Cullen Powitsky. Sierra Sabeck. Emily Rose Scher. Natalie Clay Talbot. Claire Mackenzie Tito. Kolyar Vesta Trimble.
Next up is the program in Art and Art History, represented by the Director of the School of the Arts, Professor Kelly DiDio, and Program Head, Professor Pamela Fraser.
Winnie Mae Bettenberg. Azura Booth Gage. Margin L. Booth Gage. Grace Ann Conti. Julia Holland English. Quinn H. Everts. Asa Nicola Fulton. Bridget Holly Doyle Goldberg. Sydney Joanne Goldfarb. Natalie Jelly. Shannon Bolin Kaiser. Livia Mary Kent. Grace Sunshower Lavich. T. Riley McAuliffe. Emmeline Sky Miller. Ainsley Darlington Highlander Morton. Tyler Kern Nachili. Emily Nybekin. Alejandra Zoe Bendezu Owen, congratulated on stage by her grandfather, Emeritus Professor Frank Owen. Molly Dalto Parker. Davis Priest. Bailey Gray, Luisa Rinaldi. Adelina Salloway. Kayla Sheeger. Rafael Siciliano. Jillian Megan Simolan. Stella Tina Tavila. Annabelle Marshall Thomas. Joris Van Helmond. Sabina Campbell Ward. Sarah Madison White.
Next up is the program in Asian Languages and Literatures, represented by the Director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Acquisto, and Program Head, Professor John Yin.
Max Chabra Gerlach. Emerson Hall. Annika Imobertseg. Elijah R. Khan. Nathan Andre Langlois. Alyssa Grace McGuire. Tiffany D. Mai. Veronica Powers Ruth. Blake A. Stanberry Beal. Bridget Tofik.
Next up is the program in Biochemistry, represented by the Director, Professor Matt Liptak.
Emily Jane Barbera. Patricia Quinn Chapman. Marceline Dockham. Osmond Evans. Clara Ashley Jordan Fritz. Audrey Knox. Hannah Beryl Koval. Sydney McFarland. Margaret Ilana Moses. William James John Muzzy. Charlotte Rose Pearson. Nicholas John Pettis. Olivia Georgia Peterson. Rose Margaret Petiti. Emma Marie Sorrentino. Michael Spizuko. Morgan Royshin Wallace. Alexandra Zook.
Next, we have the Department of Biology, representing majors in biology, biological science, and zoology, represented by the chair, Professor Brian Balliff.
Alexi Angel. Hannah Asel. Jacob Leslie Bear. MJ Barrett. Veronica Caroline Bassett. Taylor Emily Bean. Nicholas H. Bender. Emily Keiko Bernhardt. Jenna Hope Boardman. Juliana Esther Bouchard. Allison Julia Bauer. Aaron Breen. Catherine Brennan. Nolan Lawrence Bumpus. Hannah M. Burns. Sarah Elizabeth Bushnell. Ethan Carnsall. Gabriel William Carrare. Tessa Carroll. Emily Patricia Clark. Benjamin Cowley. Ryan T. Davin. Stephen D. Crescenzo. Erin Ann Dillon. Ryan Peter Dowling. Christopher Michael Dudek. Nicholas Durio. Benjamin F. Egner. Benjamin Americo Forker. Aiden Charles Fox. Juliana Marie Gagney. Isabel Antoinette Gates. Merrill Getty. Grace Giroux. Justine Goldblatt. Jacqueline Goldman. Eric Gonzalez. Morgan Renee Gregory. Anya Elmina Grigorev. Lucinda O. Guy. Callista Zaya Hanna. Allison May Harris. Haley Preston Horton. Juliette V. Hoven. Elizabeth Hines. Macy Easley Ingersoll. Ashley Jordan Jagu. Dana M. Katz. Liam Dillon Kellier. Sarah Ariel Harim Kim. Flynn Krapf. Catherine Lebsock. Ryan Lee. Lucas Leon. Samuel P. Light. Alyssa Rose Lindheimer. Margaret Lugan. Lauren Rose Manning. Erin Elizabeth Matthew. Ella Catherine Reardon Matthews. Daniel Matitsitz. Guinevere R. McArdle. Cole H. Mordecai. Sophia Mott. Nathan Scott Norrie. Megan O'Connor. Duncan E. O'Leary. Annalise Olson. Francis Fisher Oppenheimer. Lillian K. Orloff. Rose Pedimonte. Madison May Porman. Eli Reams. Delaney Lucille Ross. Alexandra Ruff. Hannah Cecilia Ryan. Garrett Raye. Madeline S. Saffer. Gabrielle Salzgiver. Logan Emerson Sands. Sammy Slamani. Solomon Snuggerud. Maya Sobel. Kelsey Jane Sewell. Christian Soychak. Emmanuel Chipran Sorza Fayesh. Tatum Marie Whalen Swanson. Grace E. Thompson. Maya Thompson. Ayoi Kishimoto Tisher. Jacob Vitale. Erin Marie Wagner. Joseph Douglas Webb. Madeline Elise Wheeler. Hadley Ann Wilson. Patrick Lennon Wilson. Braden Blaisdell Woods. Caitlin Marie Young. Caitlin A. Zoller.
Next, we have the Department of Chemistry, represented by the chair, Professor Matthias Brewer.
Rania Osama Al-Janabi. Claire Eleanor Bushy. John Robert Duffy. Dagny V. Keltner. Megan Elizabeth Levine. Thomas Carver Roby. Gavin Adrian Sicard. Riley M. Wells.
Next, we have the Program in Classics, represented by the Director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Acquisto, and Program Head, Professor John Franklin.
Joseph Hambright Alexander. Emma Suzanne Burns. Emily Strom Feeney. Julius Raymond Herzog. Zachary Howenstein. Eileen H. King. Allie McKenna Lyles. Jenna Rose Schiffman. Daniel J. Wallach.
Next is the Department of Computer Science, represented by the Vice Chair, Professor Jason Hibbler.
Chase Bocage. Nathaniel Bora Kaufman. Simon Thomas Bradlow. Liam Casey. Kira Jordan Clark. India Marie Davis. Mason Z. Eshelman. Max Solomon Schwaber Avery. Mackenzie Kelly. Andrew Tedus Libby. Ryan Charles Martin. Matthew Rieger. Colin Rinaldi. Pearl Sutton. Devor Vukoja. Lola Mackenzie Wesson. Sydney Grace White.
Next is the Department of Economics, represented by the Chair, Professor Sarah Solnick.
Judd Ott Alexander. Luke Boyd. Sarah Elizabeth Carpenter. Amelia Catanaro. Charles W. Cribb. Akuch A. Dow. Lucinda Matsuko Delaney. Ethan Fleming. Kian Giai. Connor Winslow Hensel. Matthew I. Hink. Robert Nathan Hohenberg. Evan Michael Jansens. Nicholas Austin Kibo. Victoria Lindino. Jaden Lubert. Bianca Marino. Jonah Petrie. Name card. Thank you. Samuel Everett Pifko. Jillian Polo. Braden D. Schalk. Tin Aragorn Skorik. Jason C. Tomasi. Olivia Ann Tumulty. Melissa Uyar. Tomislav Jacob Zavko.
Next is the Department of English, represented by the Chair, Professor Mary Louise Keat.
Colin Arthur Anselmi. Krista Bass. Margaret Brennan. Kaylin Renee Brentana. Tahiti Annalise Cabrina. Amelia Canny. Hannah Clark. Lillian Caroline Daly. Grace Isabella Decker. Maya Leonore Brooks de la Torre. Eamon Dunn. Siobhan Mary Egan. Maya Eskenazi. Henry Figler. Erica Fisher. Quinn Aaron Fisher. Allison Elizabeth Fox. Jonah Frangiosa. Robert J. Gamache. Emma Grace Goodwin. Emily Morgan Gritska. Grace Ann Goralnik. Olivia Caroline Hagios. Emily Rose Haymond. Rebecca Ann Holt. Zachary James. Ava Klein. Noah Casimir Crayson. Nicole Ann Crumry. William Wood Laidlaw. Cecilia May Larson. Jacqueline Faye Lemieux. Sammy Leo, congratulated on stage by his father, Professor David Feuerzig. Julia Luna. Ann Taylor McClogan. Seamus J. McCormick. Allison McKenna. Lillian Merchant. David Orkin. Sylvia F. O'Shea. John Palos. Genevieve Tess Patain. Aidan Michael Pendris. Kira Ann Bridget Poole. Antonio Luis Puglisi. Jenna Ranson. Sydney Ilana Reiner. Mael Rosser. Samantha I. Sanborn. John Salvatore Serpe. Anna Elizabeth Spencer. Julia Tanier. Marco Francis van der Meulen. Taya Van Lindy. Lily Elise Walton. Owen Nathaniel Williams. Sophie Kennedy Wolf. Alicia Tess Oshana Wolfram. Willa Yonkman.
Next is the Program in Environmental Sciences, represented by the Director, Professor Shelley Raybeck.
Emmy Offerheide. Samantha Grace Bjorklund. Meryl Claire Calloway. Nicholas Christakos. Daniel Chaim Epstein. Samuel Gelpy. Carrie Ann Gibson. Jonathan Abraham Givelber. Johanna Elspeth Hamilton. Catherine Zaida Hassan. Caitlin A. Henry. Nicholas Hester. Olivia Hogan. Liam James Keefe. Kenneth Lee. Joey Looney. Catherine K. Mank. Jeb William Morgan. Rachel L. Oram Brown. Hunter Pastemski. Madeline Ann Rickey. Catherine Emma Elizabeth Roberts. Hannah Remington Roberts. Silva Sundberg. Walker Nelson Thompson. Olivia Marie Ting.
The Program in Environmental Studies, represented by the Director, Professor Cheryl Morse.
Emily A. Ivy. Abby. Maggie Brooke Abelghini. Maisie Anderson. Noah Ballin. Peyton Caroline Beaver. Sejali Grace Benoit Smith. Quinn Ward Bisbee. Brooke Mary Borstel. Andrew J. Burgett. Jaden Kaposi. Ryan Chaya. Abigail Christie Cloutier. Charles Ash Dahl. Gemma Kate DiFiorio. Sabrina Doyle. Constance Burns Dvorak. Athena Fowler Shaw. Benjamin O. Ferry. Sophie Gilman. Lucy Jane Goldman. Jaylyn Greidner. Devin E. Hasler. Tucker Jaffe. Maya Kagan. Ophelia Ganji Keefe. Jane Kellerman. May Catherine Kelly. Ellen Korest. Francis G. Liedman. Julia Lenz. Kate Levesque. Ishan Vinokumar Maratha. Adrian Mason. Gabriela Belizia Marchesani. Colin Martin McDermott. Audrey Nadeau. Paige Pogue. Maeve Potiguier. Sorry. Catherine Rania. Julia Reisman. Vivienne Grace Shields. Lindsay Smith. Oliver Subak. Ella Weatherington. Alexandra May Williams.
The program in Film and Television Studies represented by the director, Professor Todd McGowan.
Sage Lee Aaron. Melissa Chadwick. Dashelle Christie. Sophie Duver. Atticus A. Iden. Allison Ann Fanger. Oliver Sean Haggerty. Jisan Hawk. Maria Paloma Herrera, presented by Assistant Professor Jerry Herrera of Pharmacology. Morgan Humphrey. Selby Jacobs. Olivia Anderson Job. Eric Jasper Johnson. Anna Carnady. Jillian Eve Kimmel. Elias Anthony Contos. Emily Elizabeth Majeski. Wyeth Sullivan Martin. Lily Catherine McLaughlin. Carolina Marino. May Naguski. Xavier Ortiz. Maris Ann Pepsel. Ty Rinfrit. Sophia Ann Scladoni. Sophia Jane Sharp. Benton Sherman. Jordan N. Southworth. Wyatt Emerson Taylor.
The program in French and Italian, represented by the director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Akisto, and program head, Professor Charles-Louis Morin-Metivier.
Thank you. Noah Ali. Grace Marie Condi. Julia Elise Gamache. Amanda Gorley. Allison Ray Hoy. Lauren Grace Katz. Noah LaFaso.
The program in Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies, represented by the director, Professor Mary Burke.
Oh. Madison Nicole Chase. Victoria Ray Gonzalez. CJ Healy. Nico Walton.
The Department of Geography and Geoscience is represented by the chair, Professor Shelley Raybeck.
Henry Sean O'Neill. Jesse Barnett. Evan Alberto Calves. Johanna Laura DeBoer Hartman. Enrique Paul de la Rosa Jr. Iona Villariso McQuiston. Maisie Melican. Nolan Michael Morrow. Tyler J. Moxham. Owen Vincent Palcic. Ethan Peck. Natalie Eileen Petit. Cameron Pravorny. Brandon Samuel Schoenfeld. Zoe Jean Schraden. Isaac Tabakin. Hattie Quinn Tetzlaff. George H. Thurston. Haley Catherine Zielinski.
The geology major, represented by Geography and Geosciences chair, Professor Shelley Raybeck.
Lily Dewar. Zoe Kaylin Flancer. Serena Jade Villou. Brenda Lorraine Waters.
The program in German, Russian, and Hebrew, represented by the director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Akisto, and program head, Professor Kat Scollins.
Daria Braithwaite. Ethan Xavier Briggs. Ian Jackson. Joseph Landry McWilliams. Katrina Makarova Sporn. Simon Casey Walter.
The program in Global and Regional Studies, represented by co-director Professor Pablo Bose.
Olivia Ann Allegra. Simone Adele Allen. Alexandra Elizabeth Amston. Zoe Andrade. Island Tara African. Shannon Kathleen Boston. Anna Mae Joy Brown. Sydney Caraval. Adelaide Marie Conaway. Kelly H. Eddy. Caroline L. Espinal. Clara Bram Feldman. Sadie Faye Furman. Nina Furlong. Just one second. Good. Gabriel Mistay Gomez. Are we good? Okay. Yeah. Sierra Kathleen Heiner. Griffin Kapelis. Angelica Pavlona Karapatin. Galen Kilburn. Jane Marin Kuntzman. Abra J. Levine. Vanessa Gabriela Marchisano. Riley Mason. Julia Marie Meter. Matthew Munt. Jake Eric Leonard Nicholson, congratulated on stage by his grandfather, senior lecturer Jan Johansson. Patrick Randolph Sheen. Addison Rachel Schwartz. Isabel Van Nieuwkoop. Alexander Warner. Darcy Wallard. Aiden Austin. Keelan Emily Bosfert. Samuel Vos Daly. Allison Glass. Leah Grutman. Okay. Thank you. Peter Damian Hartledge. Nadira Akila Hassan. Michaela E. Hone. Audrey M. Lewis. Shannon Elizabeth McDonald. Elena E. Marcelli. Landon Wayne Nipper, congratulated on stage by his father, Professor Brandon Brown. Elizabeth Teresa Oliver. Reese Tully Pattison. Charles Price. Maria Elizabeth Ruff. Isabel Faith Sanchez. Hillary Lee Sirota. Hunter Tenzing Sloan Solomon. Sarah Hope Solomon. Lillian May Tuhig. Yoon Shin Zhao.
The Department of History, represented by the chair, Professor Sean Stillwell.
Roan Allison. Benjamin Mark Allaire. Jane Reed Brinley. Mariette Cassidy. Anna K. Clark. Ashley Clark. Daniel DeWolf. Zoe Sarah Hershey Fay. Logan Fossey. April Olivia Kilkenny. Clara Elizabeth McFadden. I think we did him already. Yeah. Casey Lynn Murphy. Charles P. Murphy. Justin A. Murray. Sophia Middleton Cope Nolan. Margaret Pierce. Ian Andrew Pless. Sophie Jane Prager. Emma Catherine Reagan. Henry Schmidl. Seamus Slattery. Joseph Allen Smith. Noah Matthew Spoth. Evelyn Dion Stearns. Spencer Stillwell, congratulated on stage by his father, Professor Sean Stillwell. Spencer Stumbo. Sylvia Graham Gameser Welch. William Frederick Weidland. R.J. Morrison.
Do you The program of individually designed majors, represented by Associate Dean and Professor of History, Paul Deland.
Jade Shang. Sam Jefferson. John Kenny. Javier Matos Rodriguez. Isabella Polo. Erin Alexandra Romer. Sophia Ella Worth. Gable Williams.
The program in linguistics, represented by the director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Akisto, and program head Maeve Everhart.
Kelsey M. Brown. Christos Anthony Contacos. Amber Mallory Lynch. Connor Milligan. Leah Hannah Snyder.
The program in mathematics, represented by the director of statistics, Professors Jeff Bouzas.
Aidan Jean Chrétien. Eamon Thomas Defner, 2nd Lieutenant, United States Marine Corps. Colby Lee DeComo. Max Girard. Haley Kai Hinchman. Haywood L. Schwartz. Simon Servitar. Aidan Joseph Trimble. Hannah Elizabeth Warren. Emilia Irene Winkist. Jacob Frank Yannetti. Jacob Zimmerman.
The program in music, represented by the director of the School of the Arts, Professor Kelly DiDio, and program head, Professor Yutaka Kono.
Dimitrios Angel. Gabriel Paz Bango. Julia Christian. Griffin Sam DeMatteo. Van Basil Garrison. Joshua Henry Glenn. Annie Livingston Heller. Samuel Joseph Hurwitz. Winslow Adams Jeffrey. Bruno Drury John. Henry Bell Laidlaw V. Zachary Lerner. Abigail Lynn Marks. Lauren McCabe. Zachary Motovidlak. Ella B. Paulson. Willow Anley Phoenix. Alexis Grace Santo. Pearl Susanna Stewart.
The neuroscience program, represented by Professor Alicia Ebert.
Julia Caterina Allenson. Gabriela Michelle Ambrosino. Kirsten Lee Appenzeller. Hamza Azar. Emily Judith Rena Bomel. Christopher Patrick Bellevue. Juliana Suzanne Beraldi. Zakir Beridze. Isabel Berman. Alexandra Margot Bodell. Julia Genevieve Booth Howe. Jocelyn Grace Botello. Ethan Joshua Brass. Emma Jane Caffrey. Sarah Lynn Campbell. Abby Kate Caproni. Jessica Cernelia. Jade Cleary. Brendan Francis Cox. Grace Olivia Davis. Zaylee De Leonardis Page. Kira Marin Dewey. Marie Stephanie Dorfner. Noah Elstey. Emily Abigail Ertl. Claire Irene Fanning. Catherine Rose Fauver. Erin Fitzgerald. Kyle Xavier Fitzgerald. Liam Foley. Lauren Grace Frampton. Peter Harrison Gulls. Caroline V. Genest. Madeline Gramling. Cameron Elizabeth Griffin. Ruby Celeste Guth. Nadia Sophia Huber. Eva Jessup. Audrey Cecilia Johnson. Okay. Okay. Sabrina Ann Joseph. Satvik R. Kanuparthi. Elizabeth R. Katz. Amy Mahler. Celia Viola McClintock. Tasnuva Marin. Emma Moreland. Elizabeth M. Morris. Olivia Christine Patrick. Chloe Collins Pay. Zoe Plotkin. Gwendolyn Jean Reichert. Delaney Saluja. Nadia Scopeton. Mia Skowronski. Ignacio Hiroki Soler. Nicholas Derval Sousa. Samuel Spector. Grace Elizabeth Tucker. Sarah Van Horn. Joseph Watley Vasallo. Charles Reed Willis. Asa Wiley.
The Department of Philosophy, represented by Professor Randall Harp.
Sebastian Abend. John Dane. Zoe Yvonne Dubois. Megan A. Hessler. Zoe James Hogan. Wesley F. Hull III. Abigail Eden Kopelowitz. Mina Parsons. John Michael Pitblado. Ivan Shadis. Gavin Wilzinski. Florence Jane Zahorik.
Physics, represented by Dennis Clordy, interim chair.
Thank you. Nam Huang Din. Hannah Lorene Durlam. Isabel Maria Lapierre. Lennon McInerney. Hazel Sophia Wilkins.
Plant biology, represented by the chair, Professor Jean Harris.
Sam Furtick. Brendan John Kane. Emma Renee Landenberger. Grace Margaret Maloney. Mia Ann Randolph.
The Department of Political Science, represented by the chair, Professor Peter Von Depp.
Erica Lauren Adamson. Claude Lucia Ledeluca Alexander, congratulated on stage by her mother, Dr. Lisa Pippa Alexander. Abigail Catherine Alves. Morgan R. Ambrose. Noah James Emp. Emmett A.G. Avery. Evan Elliott Levine Baker. Camille Bakulis. Fee Barthel. Nathaniel Paul Belanger. Simon Eli Bernstein. Helen Catherine Adams Betts. Nathaniel J. Biscotti. Owen Bruds. Brooke Elizabeth Burns. Matthew J. Setcho. Isabella Valia Calorosi. Alice Kudre. Miranda F. Cully. Avery S. Doddelin. Alexis Drown. Olivia Eisenberg. Catherine M. Farmer. Megan Elizabeth Feeney. Colin Boru Finnegan. Sarah Nicole Friedman. Peter J. Gallagher. Talia Goldstein. Lucy Lillibridge Giavoni. Jacob Greenberg. Sierra Hayes. John Jeffrey Henderson Jr. William Quinn Houston. William Thomas Johnson. Jojo Kaufman. Dylan Charles Lamson. Madeline Jane Larson. Helen Lefevre. Henry Leopold. Madeline Grace McGilligan. Eleanor Hart Martin. Olivia Mastria. Luke William McDermott. Fiona McManus. Margot Elizabeth Mental. Grace Marie Murphy. Alexander Elliott Norman. Ian R. O'Shaughnessy. Allison W. Olette. Zachary Adam Pedowitz. Amelia Jolie Picard. Grace Poland. Michael Peter Riley. Adriana Jolene Robinson. Stella Schaefer Cerdes. Grace Sherwood. Purva Shirolkar. Faith Charity Scarrett. Max Toner, congratulated on stage by his father, Professor D. Thomas Toner. Ursula Walsack. Harry Gabriel Van Dyke. Frances Jane Watt. Peyton Gabrielle Wee. Caroline Williams. Sarah Rosomando Wood. Siobhan Woods. Michael J. Wright. Lauren Ziska.
The Department of Psychological Science, represented by the chair, Professor John Green.
Olivia Teresa Acosta Midiedo. Aliyah Aga. Ryan Emily Aldrich. Evelina B. Antoine. Nehemiah Jeffrey Arnold. Hannah S. Asbury. Lauren N. Azar. Megan Hope Bachman. Michael John Basejo. Abigail Mackenzie Beauchamp. Celia Marie Begonia. Olivia Catherine Boardman. John Henry Bond Bards. Kyla R. Bouchard. Audrey Elizabeth Buck. Catherine Buckley. Sydney Burek. Olivia Calandrillo. Marco T. Caliandro. Lauren Carter. Natalie Catherine Clayman. Madeline Micalios Cohen. Gabrielle Coya. Francesca Compton. Emma Catherine Connolly. Megan Emily Constable. Jillian Elizabeth Conway. Alana Koda. Emily Elizabeth Crowes. Leah Tier Darling. Olivia DeFonse. Elizabeth Deanne DeGraw. Kathleen Sarah Delaney. Ryan Emmanuel De Luca. Elsa Marie Di Giovanni. Ava Mara Yanulovich Dixon. Caroline Dolfini. Antonig S. Douglas. Caroline Anita Doyle. Aileen Catherine Droney. Nayantara Dutta. Lana Edwards. Marielle Catherine Egan. Lily Jane Eggenberg. Serafina Fetcher. Benjamin Felter. Gabrielle Ferreira. Madeline Drew Fishman. Lauren Ray Flewling. Carter Lawrence Franciscovich. Oliver J. Frank. Lindsay Friedman. Avery E. Gilgallen. Lillian Gingold. Olivia Joy Gingras. Laya Glazer. Madison April Grad. Olga Isolabella Gregg. Barbara Sage Hannon. Allison L. Harris. Erin Harris. Kelsey Hart. Amanda Haspel. Olivia Ann Henderson. Emma Catherine Hilton. Cassidy Riley Hogan. Samson J. Hurwitz III. Lily Page Jensen. Julie Johnston. Gwyneth Jumper. Tobias Kaplan. Elizabeth Bartram Temple Keel. Sophie Eva Kim. Laurel Eliza King. Catherine Brooks Kirby. Adina R. Krause. Gareth Kulisade. Zachary M. Lacey. Mary Catherine Lee. Vicky Lee. Jenna N. Lobel. Micaela Luvao. Nathaniel Machata. Michaela Arlene Mader. Riley Mayer. Rebecca Gabrielle Mahue. Ariel Miriam Mulkey. Hayden Francis Macefield. Juliet Elizabeth McGuinness. Laura McIntosh. Calvin McKean. Aidan McKessie. Brendan J. Messier. Hannah B. Milt. Bodie Rose Mills. Colt Miranda. Bella B. Moore. Clara Ann Morlock. Ella S. Morris. Ava Gloria Munschauer. Clara Angelina Murphy. Samantha R. Murray. Anna Elizabeth Nolt. Kate Marguerite Neal. Emma Rose Norton. Maya Rain Nyberg. Ailish Mary O'Byrne. Madison A. O'Brien. Jillian Patterson. Nilani Pasanyapan. Julia Pepper. Esther Perkins. Daisy Elizabeth Phelps. Liam Pickard. Isabella Ray Pilkington. Claudia Adams Pollock. Thea Morgan Post. Sophie Nicole Powell. Quinn Briscoe. Molly Sierra Quarles. Caden Rainville. James Quinn Raymond. Amanda Redmond. Eva Rivat. Anne Louise Roberts. Morgan Rocchio. Sophia Marie Rukanakis. Drew Sardini. Haley Love Schickman. Anne-Marie Schneller. David Schuldiner. Betsy Jane Scrimger. Nikki Shaw. Jocelyn Grace Schulman. Haley Sissenwine. Chloe Smith. Morgan Page Stavisky. Annika Stein. Ava Bryce Temple. Hannah St. Marie. Marie St. Germain. Zachary Strouch. Julianne Catherine Sullivan. August Kyle Sulprizio. Emma Rose Serenian. Caitlin Taylor. Jared F. Thatcher. Marley H. Thomas. Nicole Patricia Thomas. Riley Caroline Thomas. Jenny Townsend. Tiana Treadwell. Middle. Catherine Marie Trashel. Jaden Sydney Trask. Jenna Troy. Olivia Grace Turnbaugh. Juliana Marie Turner. Margaret Vesci. Emily Villavicencio. Julia Ann Wall. Karen Frances Wallace. Kate Ward. Virginia Ware. Emma Aiden Watson. Zoe Weisendanger. Eden Werner. Ella Whips. Ellen Carol Witten. Amanda Grace Widrow. Peter James Wilkins. Luke Will. Anna Woodlock. Victoria R. Worthen-Sluz. Kaya Wu. Devin Michael Zimmerman.
The Department of Religion, represented by Professor Elise Morgenstein First.
Audrey Patricia Ashdown. Celia Cook. James Tucker Coppa. Isabella Infante. Tori Quinones.
The program in Spanish, represented by the Director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Akisto, and Program Head, Professor John Waldron.
Sociology.
We don't know how to alphabetize. Sociology is actually next. The Department of Sociology, represented by the chair, Jennifer Strickler.
Connor Barbour, Maya Barrett, Spencer Bellet, Haley Bruner, Sophia Bunomo, Owen Matthew Carpenter Z, Camden Cole, Thomas Merrill Collins III, Jenna Davenport, Hope Mary Lee Wen Foley, Mitchell Grant, Dana Harrell, Brennan Alexander Harris, Darcy Ann Lillian Helsingis, Justina Jones, Evan Leaf, Alexandra Lefer, Charlotte Haley Levy, Mark August Mastrangelo, Morgan Mary McEwen, Anna Bernadette Mendenhall, Mary Kate O'Brien, Sophie Adeline Ostrovitz, Gannon Chase Poquette, Riley C. Potts, Collie Robbins, Abigail May Rogers, Ann Hunter Rudolph, Noah Gabriel Simon, Hannah Nicole Tapirek, Cole Urquiola, Wenda Yu,
We're going to try the Department of Spanish again. The program in Spanish, represented by the director of the School of World Languages and Cultures, Professor Joseph Akisto, and program head, Professor John Waldron.
Sophia Aronson, Isabella Manskoff de Cliver, Madeline Arlene Gurley, Annie Hazley, Benjamin Jackson, Giovanni Lily Ladd, Nina Mazzella, Matthew Quintin McGaughty, Paula Emperatriz Mena Henry.
And now the program we've been waiting for, the program in theater and dance, represented by the director of the School of the Arts, Professor Kelly DiDio, and program head, Professor Rob Shimko.
Riley Nina Birmingham. Natalie Ann Bett. Megan Burdick. Adeline Ray Cotta. Daniela Crane. Abigail Harriet Domingue. Natalie Elizabeth Guerin. Marty Gnidula. Amanda May June Watson. Mara Adeline Wyman. Elaine Ryder Albahari.
Quick reminder, after today, remaining diplomas can be picked up here at the registrar's office in the front counter and third floor Waterman, 12 to 4:30 on Monday, Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and then we'll mail them after that. Students, please allow the platform party to pass before leaving your seats. I now call upon our esteemed colleague, Professor Ewald, to bring these proceedings to a close. Once Professor Ewald has concluded the proceedings, please feel free to toss your caps and celebrate. Professor Ewald, send us off.
With congratulations to the class of 2024, these proceedings are adjourned.